Hey snowboarders, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com. We got JG with us again.
Hey y'all.
If you guys watched those first snowboard videos we did how to choose a board, how to choose bindings, how to choose boots. And I took all your knowledge and expertise, and I finally got myself a board and boots and bindings.
Right on.
So now it's time to set it up, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So JG, that's what you're here for. So for any of you watching that's in the same position as me and you don't know how to set up a snowboard, we're going to learn everything start to finish today. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, it looks like you chose a 156 twin tip.
I did.
And I know you're a freestyler, so
I had to stick to my terrain park roots.
There you go. So a lot of manufacturers and boards come with little truth cards, and there's a lot of information on these cards. Look it over, find out what size board you have, look at the dimensions on the board, the reference stance, the rider's weights, all that. And if you have your board now, check it out. Be sure to save this card. It's a useful tool to even down the road looking at different sizes and getting to know like dimensions of boards.
I think that's an important piece of advice, because when I was taking the board out of the plastic, my instincts were just to throw that away. And then I looked at it and was like, oh, there's a lot of important information on this.
Yeah. I usually save these and catalog them and just have it's a good reference point.
Sweet.
So the first thing, usually people know if they're regular or goofy, and a regular foot rider is a left foot forward and right foot back, and a goofy foot is right foot forward, left foot back. And hopefully you know this by now, but if you don't, basically my rule of thumb and a lot of people's is your strong foot is in the back, not the front. And so whatever foot you'd go and kick a soccer ball with, that's your strong foot. That would go in the back.
Yep,
so
which is consistent with me. I know that I'm a regular rider, and I kick a soccer ball with my right foot.
There we go. So the first thing you want to do is be sure you have your boots and bindings. And once everything is set up, you can definitely, strap in at your house on the carpet, and you can feel around the board a little bit. Be sure everything feels right before you go to the mountain. Because if you get up to the mountain and you try and do it there, you might not have the tool to do it, or it's just kind of like holding up your friend. So once everything is dialed, definitely check it out.
Fumbling around with a screwdriver in the cold.
Not fun. So the first thing we're going to do, most boards have a reference stance, and this is a stance location on the board where you want to start, and it's a recommended starting point. And on this arbor, the grip tech in the edge lines right up with the reference points on the boards. So this is where we're going to start Jeff off with. I usually want to start with mounting your front foot. And if you're trying to work on your turns, I recommend a little bit more angle on your front foot. If you're trying to go a little bit more freestyle and ride more switch, you can try a little less angle. So more angle on the front foot is in the, say, 20 degree and up range, 21, 22, 23, 24. And less angle on the front foot would be below 20. So say between 15 degrees and 20 degrees.
Yep.
So all bindings come with a disc and hardware, and you can see on the base plate itself it has the angle of what this little arrow points to. So right here, this is looking at 25 degrees on the front.
Yep.
And this is what I usually do. You have the pad, you can flip up the pad here, and then I take the toe strap to hold the pad and keep it out of your way.
Ingenious.
And I do the same. I just take the ankle strap and put it behind the high back. So right now I'm at 20, just under 25 degrees. You line up the screws. It's usually best to have all the hardware out. And then you can put one in. And this is how I usually do it. I line this up here. And you can see the inserts through the disc. And I put one in. I take my number 3 driver. Don't use a number 2 when you're mounting the hardware. And I slightly put one in.
Is that the risk of stripping your hardware?
Yeah, you don't want to use, you want to use the right tools. And then I alternate to the other side and put another one in. I just tighten it down enough to get some tension on it.
And GG, so for someone like me who's clueless in this situation, are we kind of locking ourselves into our angles here?
Yes.
Cool.
So I'm just doing it slightly, just get a little tension on all of them. Looks like we're right at the right angle here, just under 25 degrees on your front foot. And I'd leave it at that for now.
Cool.
And so we're going to go to the back foot. And I think you said you feel comfortable with a little bit duck.
All I know is that I've ridden a wakeboard that was certainly set up a little bit duck foot before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say I even do that on a longboard too, if that's...
It's,
if
you know,
that's
as you
anything that
stand, you know,
relates.
if you think about how you stand here naturally,
Right.
you know, you don't stand straight ahead all the time. You're
Nope.
standing here like a little bit duck foot. It's really common. A lot of people feel comfortable riding switch, a little bit more comfortable riding switch with a little bit duck foot.
Yep.
I personally ride my back foot at 0. And that comes from a little bit more surfing. This is how my foot usually is on my surfboard.
Yep.
When I'm skating, I have a little bit of duck on my back foot. So it's just a matter of preference. And all these adjustments are really easy to do, not necessarily on the hill, but like once you get onto your board and you feel something doesn't feel right, change it. Don't keep riding like that. Just take the time. All the strap adjustments are tool-free. Change it.
Yeah.
And you'll just be better off.
Yeah, and we were kind of speaking before we started filming. By watching this video, you should have the knowledge to confidently make these adjustments after you've, you know, like we're doing here. We're setting it up on the reference point, and then I will be able to kind of tweak it as I go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing that I usually recommend is setting, even on twin tips, this is what I usually do is I just go one backer reference. So I move my front foot back a little bit and my back foot back a little bit. And this way gives me a little bit more of a directional feel on a twin tip board and helps my turns a little bit better.
Okay.
But that's something that you can play with down the road. So again here, we're going to line up the, take the hardware out. And don't be afraid to do this. I mean, it might look like a lot, but it really is not a lot. I have the disc set here at, I don't know, let's say maybe -6, Jeff. Is that good?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You're the expert.
Yes.
Now, this brings up an interesting question for me. Is there a limit to like how big you would want the total angle between your toe and heel? Or is that more just kind of personal preference and rider style? Like I know you were saying some people go 15, -15, which to me is a 30-degree difference.
Okay. Yeah.
So like, would you never want to go over 35, or am I drastically overthinking things?
I think you might be overthinking it a little bit. I've never heard that before. But a lot of people want to keep, if they're really into freestyle, they want to keep the angles the same. So maybe it's 12-12.
Okay.
Or 12-12.
Okay.
Or, 9, which is basically straight across the board, it feels like.
Okay.
I think a little bit of angle is really a good thing to have no matter what. You don't want to be 0-0 because then you're just tipping the board this way and that way when you're trying to go this way.
So we're going 25, -6?
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. So got your inserts lined up. Again, you just put one in, slightly do it. Cross it over to the other side. Tension down just a little bit.
So you're not fully tightening those. You're just
not
kind of
yet.
threading them in and making sure they're
Right, and this is what
in
I'm
the
going
right
to do.
spot.
The reference stance on here is 21, just a little bit over 21 inches. I just want to be sure this is right. I go center of the disc, center of the disc, and you're right at 21, a little over 21.
21.3.
Yep.
It's like
Bingo.
these guys knew what they were doing when they built this board.
So then I go back, and I really go around. Again, I just loosen, or tighten, I should say, a little bit at a time. Don't tighten one down too much. What this is doing is pulling the disc into the base plate and engaging all the teeth. And if you do one right away, all the way down, then it's not going to sit right.
Yep. No, what you
And
mean
so you go,
create a little angle as it goes in.
Just go around, and then you can start tightening it down more and more. And I say tighten these down as tight as you can.
No Newton meter torque measurement here. Just
No.
go as tight as you can.
No, I just go as tight as I can.
Sweet.
And then go like that, put the pad back down. Looks pretty good.
Looks like a snowboard.
Do the other one here. Again, just go around, a couple turns each one. You don't need to use a power tool to do this. It's better to do it by hand. You know, a lot of people, break out a power tool. And
Yeah, now, if you took out a drill and had the wrong torque setting on your drill, could you strip these holes right out of your board?
You could.
Yeah, no one wants that.
It's just nice to do it by hand. It doesn't take really much time once you do it a couple times. It's
It's
like
a more intimate relationship between you and your board,
Yeah.
too.
Here we go.
It's like you were talking about lacing versus bowing, how you
Yeah.
like to lace, because
Yeah.
it's you're spending some time kind of dialing yourself in.
There we go. Looks pretty good.
Cool.
The stance and the width is right. You know that. So the next step would be to grab your boot.
Right behind you.
Here we go. Go to right. Go to left. And what you want to do with your boot, hopefully you have the right size binding. And a lot of on the truth cards, it says what size binding will go to match up to your boot and your board.
Yep.
You want to be sure that your binding is not overhanging any part of your board.
Which I think we're pretty
You're
spot on
yeah,
here.
right here, which looks good. And so you have to remember that your boot isn't, your foot's not in it, but you can still make the adjustments. And usually what you want to do is, your ankle strap always is first, right? So put your boot in, and crank this down, and this might be adjusted ideally for your size boot here. Do the same on the toe. Looks like it's almost ideal. It might be right out of the box fit.
Why aren't I lucky?
And if not, this is how you do to adjust these.
Yeah, you're saying these are quick release adjustments.
Yep, you can just flip this open. If you want to make this a little longer, sometimes in the cold, these straps and everything is a little bit tighter.
Brittle.
You want to be sure that you want to have enough length in your strap, but you don't want to have too much length. So I'm just going to move this out one notch here. I think you'll be good.
If
Spinning
anything,
in
that's
there.
what it looked like to me. It could go
Yep.
one longer.
Yep, one longer. Be a little bit easier to reach. Colder temps. You have a snugger fit, and you can get it over to this side. You can see that the strap is almost down into here. You probably don't want it any further than that.
Okay.
You might be able to get one more,
Yep.
but that's about right.
Cool.
And on the toe, it's a matter of preference. You usually don't have your toe quite as tight. But over here I'm bottoming out. I can't go any tighter, right? So I'm thinking that your toe might need to be...
Might need to go the other way.
Yeah, might need to be a little bit tighter.
Which makes sense, I
Yep.
think, because my boots are pretty small. I'd say my boots are probably on the small end of this binding, correct?
Yeah, so this is the medium-large binding.
Yep.
Right, so it's going to go like that.
I got small feet.
Go like this. Oh, that's not going to go in there. I can't see the strap. I can't really see it. Can't see. There we are. If I can get it in there. There we go. Yep, that's better. I'm not going to bottom out.
Yeah,
It's a
looks
little bit
better.
snugger. There you go. The other adjustment that might be down the road, maybe not the first time you go out unless you really know, is your forward lean adjuster.
Sure.
And that's right here. And what this does is, just use a number 2 driver. You can slide this little piece down. And what this does is gives the high back a little bit more forward lean.
Yep.
So when you're going on your heel side turn, it engages your high back a little bit sooner.
Yep. Would you say that's the type of thing that's best to kind of ride it and then see what it feels like before you're making big adjustments?
I would.
Cool.
And as you put more forward lean in, these adjustments on the side of your high back here need to come back to take up that gap.
Cool.
See, right now the high back is sitting snug right along here with no gap, but as you
Yep.
put forward lean
Then
in,
you're
it
getting that
creates a
gap.
gap. You slide your high back a little bit to
Okay.
reduce that gap. But that's something I would say right out of the box, ride it as is. There's enough support in the high back.
Yep.
And the forward lean is something, a matter of preference down the line.
Cool. Sweet.
So you just do the same thing with your back foot.
Yep.
Make the same adjustments. Do your straps the same. So you'd want to go a little longer on your ankle and
Yep.
a little bit shorter on your toe.
Yep.
And
after we make that adjustment, we're good to go, right?
pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
The next step would be to try on your boots
Yep.
in your house, in your apartment, wherever, on a carpet.
Sure.
And just get in, and you can really like play around and be sure that everything feels right and everything's adjusted right, everything's tight. So when you do go to the mountain and on snow, that you know that you're ready to go.
Sweet. Thanks, JG.
You got it, Jeff.
I got a snowboard.
I'll see you out there. Let's go.
I'm so excited because this board's been here for a few weeks now. and
Okay.
It's funny, like, for me, looking at all the pieces separately, I was like, that's not a thing. But now just seeing it all together, it's
There
a
you go.
snowboard.
There you have it.
So, yeah, that was awesome. Hope you guys found that really informative as well. And next time we talk to you with JG, we're going to be out there on snow.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to try and keep up with
do
you.
it.
I'm not going to try and keep up with you. I'm going to ask your advice and how to not
I'm
fall.
anxious. I'm anxious to get you out there.
It'll be fun. So let us know if you have any questions about board setup. Happy to relay them to JG if I can't answer them myself. As a reminder, we have some awesome snowboarders on our customer service staff. So you can always pick up the phone and just call us directly. You've ridden with a bunch of us so far.
Yeah, it's great.
Got some rippers on this crew.
Definitely.
Oh,
Oh.
sorry about the GoPro.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah, let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah,
and we'll talk to you next time.
see you next time.
That was funny.